Joining me now is Usama Dakdok. He is making news. In fact, when I put his name into a search engine today, I noticed that this is being picked up by several different conservative news websites, but it's also being reported by the ABC Channel 6 in Kokomo, Indiana. Here's what they say: a clash between demonstrators and a speaker with a so-called hate group was caught on video during a church service in Kokomo. Natalie Guess, who started the Kokomo Inclusion Alliance, well, she wasn't very inclusive for Usama, was she? Didn't seem to want to include him in their community to have a presentation on a Wednesday night church service. But she says she and a few other demonstrators came to Solid Rock Church on Wednesday for what they thought was a lecture called Truth on Islam. We had planned to just peacefully and silently demonstrate. Folks, how do you do that inside a church? That's not what they're there for. That's not legal, I don't think. It turns out the speaker was Usama Dakdok with the Straight Way of Grace Ministry in Florida. The Southern Poverty Law Center lists the ministry as a hate group. The pastor invited Dakdok to share facts and says he talked to Dakdok beforehand about the tone and what he calls passionate messages. Listen to a little of this audio coming from the ABC Channel 6. Listen to this.
Sad to me that it devolved into that.
A pushing and shouting match.
Oh, that's so low. I can't figure out why that volume's so low. Let me reboot it real quick and see if I can get the volume to come in. It may not be any higher. That may be all we can do. Let's see here. Here we go.
And it felt sad to me that it devolved into that.
A pushing and shouting match inside Solid Rock Church in Kokomo Wednesday night.
We had planned to just peacefully and silently demonstrate.
Natalie Guest, who started the Kokomo Inclusion Alliance, says she and a few other demonstrators came here for what they thought was a lecture called The Truth on Islam. In fact, it was a Wednesday night church service featuring Usama Dakdok, a speaker from the Straight Way of Grace Ministry out of Florida, a ministry that the Southern Poverty Law Center has listed as a hate group.
If this guy is a hate guy and they're coming in and expressing hate, how's that going to work? The only way to conquer hate is through loving people.
Tony Manis.
And let's see. I think I got another clip I queued up here. Let's see if this is it. Here we go.
You're evil. Yeah, we're evil.
No, that's not it. Let's see. They're calling him evil. Did you guys hear that? Let's see. Here we go. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see if this is it. Maybe a little bit more of this. Anyway, what ended up happening? Here we go. Let me just back this up a little bit. Here we go. Hang on here with me. All right, let's try it now.
This melee that involves Taylor Township board member Bob Marley. Marley says he was trying to stop the group from disrupting the service when he was pushed.
If they wanted to protest, the rightful thing to done was to done outside and be respectful.
Natalie says they tried to do that, but after an hour of listening to what they say was hate speech, they had to stand up.
The message from Kokomo is very clear. Do not bring hate to our city.
Thank God nobody got hurt.
Okay, so wait a minute. This lady now runs Kokomo? This lady with the Inclusion Center runs Kokomo, this city? She runs the city? Because she said the message is clear in Kokomo, don't bring your hate. So this lady now is going to decide what is hate and decide what you can and cannot do? That's interesting. So this lady just has formed herself a little group and now has declared she's going to be the arbiter of what is hate and what you can and cannot say inside a church. Well, joining me now is Usama Dakdok. Usama, this is getting out there on a lot of different websites are picking this up. This group decided after listening to you for an hour, they just couldn't sit for anymore. They couldn't tolerate it anymore, and they had to disrupt the church service. I warned about a year ago or more that this would become a regular occurrence. I think our listening audience clearly remembers me explaining my concerns for these kind of events because I explained that I believe that people were going to become more and more violent. And, of course, as more and more prosecutors do nothing or next to nothing, it only encourages them. And, of course, the federal judge in Sioux Falls gave Mr. Jabber, who came to our conference with 2 weapons in his Quran and then sat in his car with 5 weapons, and what he reported on his Facebook page was 1,200 rounds of ammo and told us to be afraid and be frightened, to be terrified and scared. He gets 7 months. 7 months from the federal judge. Do you think that's a slap on the wrist? Do you think it's going to stop people from doing this? So obviously the message has been sent by our magistrates who aren't doing the job, which says this kind of thing's okay. And this kind of thing is only going to increase, which means we will have to spend more money on security at all of our free events, which eventually most groups are going to say we can't even afford the hotel ballrooms, if you can find a hotel ballroom, they'll rent it to you anymore. You certainly have a hard time finding any churches that can seat 500, 600, 800, 1,000 people that will rent it to you. And now all of a sudden you've got to add all this extra security. Pretty soon it gets hard to even hold a free service of Christians to come together and hear a speaker. But that's kind of where we're going. So this group came in and disrupted you while you were speaking at a Wednesday night church service, correct?
Yes, sir, they did. And I'd like to say some quick comments here, if you don't mind, Brother Brennan.
Go ahead.
We have spoken in the church almost for an hour. And the only segment this liberal TV and this wicked group who came to my meeting can play out of the 1 hour, it is me telling them, you're stupid. Can you imagine with me? I've been teaching hate for a whole hour, and they could no longer sit anymore. They have to do something about it. And what they did is, to show to the world that I teach hate, is I call them stupid. Now, can they show me, besides the word stupid, why I said you are stupid, and what sentences came out of my mouth, or one sentence came out of my mouth, teach hate? There's not one sentence out of my mouth, teach hate. Not on their Facebook, not on anywhere, and they recorded the entire first hour. And if you sit to listen to the rest of my next 2.5, the next 2 hours or so, nothing, hate, there's not one statement of hate came out of my mouth. But the TV, so smart, that liberal TV, Channel 6, ABC, they know exactly what word should you use when I say, you're stupid. Can you imagine that? And that is my statement of hate. And you even take the word you're stupid out of context. So you don't even know why I call them stupid. How do you love America? How do you love the media in America?
And your response was they were
idiot media.
They were calling you evil for speaking truth about what the Quran actually teaches.
And Brother Brennan, if you have heard me in the first hour, I was quoting the Quran. I was quoting Muhammad's teachings. And I said it many times. That's not Usama Dakdok. That's not me, because we know they're sitting there. It's not like we're surprised as they show up. We know they're sitting there. We start the service with literally a 25 minutes of preaching the love of Jesus and repentance and having a great relationship with Christ. And then I start speaking. And every time I mention a verse from the Quran, and every time I mention a statement of Muhammad in the Hadith, and every time I said, this is the interpretation of this scholar or that scholar. Every time I said, this is not my words. The hate is not coming from me. The hate is coming from Allah, from Muhammad, from Muslim scholars. And I explained this very well. And they stood up to protest our meeting inside the church, which is illegal. And then they call me evil. Guess what I said? If you call me evil, that means you're stupid, because you have sit for an hour and you learn nothing. Because obviously they came with the rags in their hand, the signs in their hand, no justice, no peace, love and love and love and heart and kisses and all this wonderful stuff they want to do in the church. Peaceful invasion. Like Muhammad made peaceful invasion for literally and his followers for the last 1,400 years, killing Christian men and Jewish men and raping their wives. It was a peaceful invasion, because Muhammad said, I don't have to kill you. Just become a Muslim. And I don't have to kill you, and I'm not going to rape you, your wife, or your daughters. But guess what? We said, no, we don't want to accept Islam. And they killed us, and they raped our wives, and raped our daughters, and now we have 57 Muslim countries. And to teach the truth as it is written in the Quran, and Muhammad teaching the Hadith, now I am a hate ministry. And the best spot they got out of 1 hour talk, because you could not find another statement to prove that I taught hate, it is my words to them, then you're stupid. If I'm evil, then you're stupid, because you have not learned a thing in an hour.
The Kokomo paper Tribune says a Taylor Township board member who in an interview called Islam an evil religion and criticized Democrats for supporting homosexuals was caught on video this week in a physical altercation with a protester during an event advertised as unveiling the truth on Islam. Well, they ought to have mentioned that it was in a church service. Okay, yeah. It was in a church service. But the board member, Bob Marley, was videotaped Wednesday night confronting a group of protesters and in one instance bumping chests with a protester in the midst of an anti-Islam speech at this church. Well, what's interesting is Marley, a Democrat who said he's considering switching to the Republican Party because he's tired of Democrats supporting homosexuals and abortion. So he's catching on. Hold on right there. We'll hear a few more minutes from Usama Dakdok and then go to our Middle East update with Dr. Jimmy DeYoung. Our website, worldviewradio.com. worldviewradio.com. We'll be right back. So the board member is named Bob Marley. Bob Marley. Wasn't that a reggae singer or something? Bob Marley? I wasn't into that kind of music, but I thought it was. It's different Bob Marley, though. Bob Marley is a Democrat, but he's thinking about switching to being a Republican because he's tired of the Democrats pushing homosexuality and abortion. He said in the paper, this is what he said in the paper. He was elected to office again recently, but it says in the paper, on the spot again, I moved my cursor. Here we go. He says, if you think a person can be overly aggressive, trying to stop people from disrupting a church service, then you can think that, said Marley about the altercation. Quote, but if you don't think a person, a member of the church, defending the pastor, defending the church, defending the speaker, defending people, you know what? I'm 73 years old. Now, really? These people were all young people. And the gentleman was arguing with me. I'm in my church trying to have a church service. He's the one that came in and was the aggressor, not me. I'm just trying to defend myself and the church. End quote. Marley went on to provide his opinion on Islam, which he believes is unrepresentative of the local community and nation as a whole. Quote, we just feel like there is a problem with the Islam religion, but you have to really get into it and study the Quran, he said. A lot of people find fault with people we're not anti-Muslim. We're anti-Islam religion. He says, ISIS is the truest form of the Islam religion almost. They're called radical Islam. Now, I don't see any radical Christian people going out in groups and beheading people. I believe that Islam, in the truest form, that Islam is an evil religion, end quote. Wow, that's a board member in Kokomo, Indiana, who's a Democrat thinking about switching to the Republican Party, and he's defending he's defending you guys.
Sure. Two comments quickly, Brennan. You know what's amazing about all the newspapers all over America who has been writing about me for the last literally 16 years, 17 years since we started this ministry? They always meet with the Muslims. They always quote the liberals, but they never call me. They never interview me. They never take my side. And like what happened last week, another newspaper in the state of Florida, they contact me. And she said she would give me 5 sentences. And she refused to write anything I want to write. And the reason was because I quote her the verses of the Quran, or I quote her the saying of Muhammad in the Hadith. And when I asked her, why you will not write this down? She said, because that's religion. Can you imagine this with me? You know why they did not play any of my teaching for an entire hour? Which is, if they play, they will prove to the world that the evil is Islam, that the hate is Islam. It is Allah and Muhammad, because they could not find any statement I taught in 1 hour, teach hate, but the opposite. It is Islam, the hateful, savage cult. And
well,
Brandon, why they will not call me? What? I mean, if they can talk to the Muslims and they talk to the liberals and those who protest, and by the way, you know what's amazing? You know who protests me these days? Gay and lesbian protesting me. Atheists are protesting me. This wacko group in Indiana who actually worships Satan protesting me. And they all work together with Allah, who is nothing but Satan.
You made the Star Tribune. You made the Star Tribune last year, and they called you a virulent anti-Islamic speaker known for telling his listeners that Muslims are in the United States to behead Christians and Jews. Plans.
Wait a minute, Brandon. You know why I said Muslims hate the Jews and the Christians? Because Allah in Quran chapter 47, verse 35, Allah, not Usama, Allah said, when you meet those who became infidels, strike the necks until you have made a great slaughter among them. Excuse me, it is not me saying Muslims hate Christians and Jews. It is Allah in the Quran command the Muslims to behead Christians and Jews. And guess what? We got over 600 million Christian and Jew has been killed by the hand of the Muslims the last 1,400 years. So I don't know. What's wrong with the story here?
Well, the Star Tribune, tried to, listen to this. In December, a few weeks after Dakdok spoke in Grand Forks, a Somali restaurant in that city was firebombed. Can you believe they're trying to connect that to you speaking in their town?
Yes, indeed. And I talked to this useful idiot. By the way, there is another fire also was in a mosque. They didn't talk about it. You know why? Because the fire in the mosque was actually started by a Muslim person, not by me.
Wait a minute. What did you just say?
If I can go all over America and speak to the Americans and Muslims burn their own mosque, I should really start going in bigger circles and speak in every city where there's a mosque. If Muslims would burn their own mosque for me, you know.
They did. They burned their own mosque to set up and make it look like it was something else. Is that right? I'm hearing.
I have no idea. I never really investigated any depths, but I found out the fire in the mosque started by the Muslim. But Brother Brennan, I do roughly around 250 to 300 events every year. That's a lot of meetings. Literally, in 1 week, just last week, I spoke in Indiana, I spoke in Pennsylvania, and I spoke in Ohio, and I spoke in Chicago. Can you imagine that? In 1 week, I spoke literally in 8 events. Now, how many fires started in these places? How many times? I mean, can you imagine? If this is true, you should have at least one bombing every month or one bombing every 2 months. No, one restaurant has been burned, have nothing to do with me. And that gentleman who did this never attended my seminar, never heard. As a matter of fact, if he attended my seminar, for sure he will never do that evil act, because I teach in our seminars to love the Muslim people because they're victims of Islam.
Well, you are quoted
Islam,
in the
savage cult, but we must love the Muslim people.
You are quoted in the article in the Tribune. We quote, "We love the Muslim people because Jesus taught us to love our enemy." Numerous groups consider Dakdok's presentations hate speech, and the Council on American Islamic Relations, CARE, that's a front group for Muslim Brotherhood, said he's likely the biggest Islamophobe among a host of anti-Muslim speakers traveling throughout Minnesota to give talks at churches, supper clubs, and elsewhere in recent years. So you get the award. I wonder if there's a trophy come with that? Usama?
It is a badge of honor, Brother Brandon. By the way, right now we have a very hard time in Rochester. I believe the name of the town. What? Rochester, Minnesota. We have a hard time to find a place to speak because CARE contacted almost every place. We're working with the library right now. After we decided, the evening is available and the meeting is open, and we rented the room. And the moment we mention it is the Straight Way of Grace Ministry, and we would like to pay for it, somehow and miraculously, the computer shutting down will not take our credit card. And the lady in this library is going to call us on Monday. And I promise you, they will not rent the library for me, which, by the way, they rent to the Muslims every month, I believe, every month, if not every week. Muslims literally using the library as a mosque. But the Straight Way of Grace Ministry cannot use the library.
Well, you might try going. You might try going up the street, up the road a little bit to La Crosse. I think it's about 30 minutes or so, or whatever, 45 minutes from Rochester to La Crosse. However far, it's not that far.
No, we will have our meetings. Literally, we have been rejected right now from one church, this liberal church. I call them coward church, who feared for the life of the children in that church, and then went to another avenue and was canceled. A third place, and it was canceled because CARE complained, and now we're working on the library. And I promise you, if the Lord is willing, and I'm still alive, I will be speaking in these 3 last events. I cannot force the church to have me because they're a bunch of cowards, and I'll be ashamed to walk in that church to speak about Islam. But we will be speaking in the library, even if we have to sue the library. If they can rent it to Muslim Jihadi CARE once a month, the Straight Way will have it once a month. I promise you. We're going to sue them, and we will have the library, and we're going to have it like it or not. Or they need to shut the library completely. Close this library because it is not this is not Saudi Arabia. This is not Mecca or Medina, Saudi Arabia. This is not Afghanistan or Pakistan. This is still the United States of America, where we have freedom of speech. If Muslims can use the library, so is the Straight Way of Grace Ministry to expose the lies the Muslims teach in that library.
Keep us posted, will you, Usama?
I sure will.
That's Usama Dakdok of thestraightway.org. Thestraightway.org. His latest TV show is up on our website at wvwtv.com. We produce his TV show. Like all these guys, we bring them in, we fly them in, we put them up in a hotel, we produce it. We don't charge them one dime. This is what we do. This is our ministry, and this is a resource we provide to them and to you at wvwtv.com. We're going to go to Jimmy D. Young and get our Middle East update. We won't take any calls today because we have, we've had 3 guests and a lot to cover. So we want to get Jimmy D. Young on here just as quickly as we can. Folks, it's, what's happening is just the handwriting on the wall. If I had told you, 10 years ago that the day was coming where we could not Let me just say this. If I had told you after 9/11, the day after 9/11, if I had said, folks, the day's coming in the next 15, 16 years where you will not be able to hardly rent a hotel ballroom, get into churches, get into a public building to talk about Islam, you would have said you're crazy. No, no, no. If I had told you that the day after 9/11, 16 years ago, you would have said, no way, America is now awake. We are doing more and rolling over more for Islam than we did before 9/11. And you're only going to continue to see more and more ministries have to be internet, radio-based, TV-based, because they cannot get into facilities. Or if they do, the fees they want to charge them. Even one recently said, yeah, you can rent our building, but you're going to have 5 off-duty cops or 5 on-duty cops. Do you know what that would cost to bring in 5 police officers? Very expensive. So they're going to get where they make it more and more expensive so that we don't come there because they don't want us. The ones that do, we appreciate them, but it's getting really difficult. Did you ever think you'd see the day where it'd be hard for Christians to hold meetings together? Now, there are churches that are 200 people that are gladly let us use their building, but that's not big enough for many of the meetings we have. So